Hello and welcome to Real Marketing Leaders Don't Fear AI, They Turn It Into Local Power. Today's webinar is sponsored by Uberall and produced by SmartBrief. My name is Scott Becker with SmartBrief, and I'm excited to be your moderator for this webinar. So we've got a lot to cover today. We can't wait to get started, but first, I do want to go over a few housekeeping details that are going to help you get the most out of this session. So let's start out in the chat tab over on the right-hand side of your screen. A lot of you have already been saying hi in there. We love to see that. Let us know your state or your country, and we love to see where you guys are logging in from. So that chat is for hellos like that, but you don't have to stop there. Please share your thoughts about the topic, your reaction to the different things our panelists or keynoters are talking about, insights that you have, whatever you're excited about. And that chat area is also a good place to go in the unlikely event that you have any technical issues during the session. Browser refreshes kind of fix a lot of minor problems. Another thing you can try is the light mode option at the bottom of your screen. Limits some of your functionality, puts you on a slight delay, but it can really help even if you're having like a local connection problem. Meanwhile, none of those steps fixes a problem. My colleague Arena and I are standing by to help you out. We'll be monitoring the chat for any issues that you might have. Now, the absolute best way to dive into the information we're going to explore today is by asking your questions. So if we take two hops over there on the right side from the chat tab, there's a Q&A tab over there. Make sure everybody knows where that's located. So while chat is for all those just sort of hellos, technical issues, general thoughts, Q&A is where you should go to ask questions directly of our expert presenters and all our panelists. So that's the queue that we'll be looking at during the Q&A portion of the event. Now, we do have a lot of info to cover today. Depending on how many questions we get, we may not get to them all during the session. That's the case for your question. Don't worry, we're going to make sure to pass along all of these questions to our speakers for follow-up. Now, one other stop on the console tour today is the Docs tab. We've got a ton of stuff in there today. Really encourage you to spend some time clicking around in there. Got it looks like at least 5 great resources. My recommendation, sort of a pro tip, just open up those tabs now so that you can take a look at them when you get a chance later on. These events end quicker than you expect, and suddenly all those resources are gone. So don't miss those. Now, finally, you may have noticed the prize icon. We are, in fact, giving away an Amazon gift card worth $250 as a prize drawing at the end of our webinar. Now, you must be in attendance for the duration of the live event to qualify for the prize, and you've got to meet the SmartBrief prize terms and conditions, which are also in that Docs tab area with all those other great resources. Okay, with all that housekeeping out of the way, I think we're ready to get into our session. So, AI is transforming how customers discover, evaluate, and choose local businesses. And the brands that adapt fastest are going to define the next era of growth. So today you've joined an exclusive virtual event where Uberall is bringing together leading multi-location marketers, local discovery experts, and AI thought leaders to share the blueprint for success in an AI-driven world. And our agenda today is a great keynote, followed by a robust panel discussion, and then a chance for your questions. So for the keynote, I am delighted to introduce Katie King. Katie is CEO of AI in Business, and she's an acclaimed author and speaker. Her depth of thinking on the implications of AI are reflected by the fact that her book on AI strategy for sales and marketing is already in a second edition. So let me bring Katie on stage here.
Hey, Scott. Thank you for having
Hey,
me.
welcome. Yeah, thanks for being here. All right. Well, I'm really looking forward to your keynote here. So I'm going to turn things over to you.
Thank you very much. It's great. It's not giving me the option to share my screen. There we go. It is now. Excellent. Well, greetings to you all. I believe you are joining from all over the US and Canada, but also closer to me. I'm in the UK, in France, and in, where are we, Barcelona, and many, many other places. So yeah, you should now be seeing my screen, and I've got 20 minutes to do justice to probably the hottest topic on every board agenda at the moment. I traveled in 24, around 15 different countries, and everyone is talking about AI. But I'm going to be talking, and then, of course, joining the panel about this idea of chaos to clarity. You know, how are real marketing professionals turning AI into local power? We'll be addressing that through my slides, but also through the panel questions and answers. So as Scott says, this is my third book, and this is a second edition of book 2. And I'm nearly 59 in January, and I'm on a journey of constant learning. And I've been in marketing for 35 years. And I would say for me, the biggest change has been the continuation of different channels and different tools and so on. But what stays constant is great strategy, great personalization, and the human touch within all of that. And you can't really replicate that. So for all of us, you know, it is about really thinking. Sorry, I might want to put that back up again. I was trying to hide the button there, but it didn't want to do that. Let's try that again. Bear with me. There we go. Okay, so it's just making sure that we, you know, we think about whenever I hide that button, Scott, I'm sorry, whenever I hide that button, it disappears. So you will still keep seeing that, I'm afraid. So apologies for that. Okay, can you see that still now? You still seeing my slides, hopefully?
Yeah, this slide
Yeah,
went away.
that's great.
Yeah,
Sorry, when I pressed the hide button for you to see that tab, it got rid of it. So
yeah, don't worry.
apologies for that. Yeah, no problem. So we're going to kickstart just to get you involved and interactive, and I'm going to share 2 polls with you, and I want to get your feedback. We want to interact on this. So 2 bits of feedback. The first poll, and I'll stop sharing in a moment, but the first one is really just to kind of test the temperature of what stage you're at in your AI adoption journey. So when I stop sharing the screen, you'll have a chance to vote on this. So is it that you haven't started even yet? Maybe you're actually exploring ideas and pilots. For some of you, you might actually be implementing this across different parts of your business. And I'd say probably a limited number are really scaling it across multiple functions. And then finally, maybe some fully integrating with AI. So let me stop sharing for a moment, and we'll see how that looks and get a sense of you know, the feedback there. So let's have a look where we're at. So we haven't started yet. Is getting some votes coming in yet. 20, yeah, nearly 30% at the moment actively implementing it in parts of the business. Let's see what's getting most of the votes. The moment, pretty even for exploring ideas and pilots. That seems to be the 2 there. So what I find actually is that it's good to see that few aren't in that zone of not starting yet. And it looks like we're pretty even with exploring. If we can move on to the next poll while I've stopped sharing my screen there. If we move on to the next one, which is really all about your biggest challenge. So what's your biggest challenge in adopting AI? That's what I want you to look at next. So is it about, you know, lack of internal skills or knowledge? Maybe it's about having limited budget or unclear return on investment. For some of you, possibly, it might be about leadership, hesitation, or lack of strategy. And then maybe the final one, what about that ethics? For a lot of people, it's the big picture of ethics. So let's see what the votes are coming in for that particular one. Brilliant. Thank you for sharing that, team there. Okay, so lack of internal skills. I mean, there's a massive upskilling agenda happening at the moment, which is why I'm kind of like going around the world with workshops and keynotes and so on. And internally, every job function is impacted by this, as well as every sector, which is why, you know, it's so important to get this right. So it looks like we're getting most of the votes for lack of internal skills or knowledge. So thank you very much for sharing that. So conscious of time, so I'm going to move on and come back to the slides so that we can share that with you. Okay, so Here we go. Let's make that full screen. Okay, so let's move on and think really specifically about this juggling act. So the modern marketer is having to juggle, so much. Marketing's exploded. It's like juggling blindfolded during an earthquake. And I think what we're having to think about here is, balancing brand performance and all these different things, global strategy, local execution. And I think, the expectations are multiplying as well. We've got new algorithms, we've got new platforms, we've got all of this happening. And so what AI is doing really is rewriting how consumers are finding things and how they're choosing the products and services. So we've now got people not just navigating search results, they're expecting instant and trusted answers. And so for a multi-location brand, this is all about, how do we perform within this ecosystem that's driven by AI, that's about, consistency, contextual, and being really credible at the same time. So, what are humans trusting is the question versus what the machines are rewarding. That's the new power dynamic, because marketers are having to serve two really discrete audiences, the people and the algorithms. People want authenticity, they want emotion, but the machines are rewarding structure and accuracy and performance, which is quite different. So, the professional marketeer, the successful marketeer has got to craft stories that are moving people, but also signals that are really amplifying how, the machines are finding us. So that's quite a different sort of dynamic that we've not had before. So what are we having to do? We're having to not just, have more data, but we've got fragmentation that we're having to deal with as well. So many platforms, so many locations, and different systems as well. So that marketing superpower, if we can call it that, isn't control. It's how do we coordinate all of this? And how do we move from just being, an assistant to actually being sort of agentic and having action? So what the agentic AI, the new kid on the block, really, what is it doing? It's not just recommending, but it's acting for us. It's finding those signals and it's optimizing those outcomes as well. So for someone like me who's been in marketing for 35 years, we've definitely moved from being very manual. And now we're at that point of really being pretty autonomous with our performance, and orchestrating that visibility and that engagement and that, conversion in real time. That's so important. So that shift from just having presence to actually having performance as well. We can't just be saying, are we visible? We've got to be saying, are we performing locally? Yeah. And the AI is helping us do that. This is a question a lot of people ask me. Is it replacing us? No, but it's amplifying. It's such a crazy term, artificial intelligence. We should be talking about augmented intelligence, where we amplify that human intelligence. So we've got that fusion of art and automation, where finally marketing is becoming really measurable, really local again, and really scalable as well. So enter, this idea of local marketing, where we've got location performance optimization. What that's doing is ensuring that the location, the store, the search, the map pin is really discoverable, it's accurate, and it's helping us convert as well. At the end of the day, for me, marketing is about satisfying customer needs profitably. So with agentic, this is helping us supercharge that LPO so that marketers become that orchestrator of intelligence, and every location becomes a real sort of performance engine. So we mustn't be fearing this change. I'm nearly 59, so if I can cope with it, you all can. So we've got to lead with it. We've got to translate that digital visibility into really measurable and local growth. So being seen isn't enough anymore. We've got to be chosen. So what I'd like to do is share now what I call stealable innovation, where we are learning from other sectors. A quick couple of examples here. Let's think about KFC. Yeah, 5 examples of how they're trying to increase their visibility. So this is actually an Uberall client actually across the UK and Ireland for KFC. So they're thinking about local naming conventions. They're adding their opening hours for specific services like delivery, drive-throughs, and so on. You know, they've got the completeness of their profiles in bulk with updated photos and so on. So all of these things, you know, really help their visibility. Leveraging the Q&A feature by creating that sort of owner verified answers to certain FAQs, and then having that localized social media page as well, so that you've got, you know, location specific content as well. So, you know, next area I want to really touch on is really this paradox of personalization. I've got a whole chapter in my books all about this, and we're going to watch 2 quick videos now, very brief ones, that bring to life, when you're watching them, think about the product, think about personalization, think not about big shiny robot coming taking my job, but, you know, real personalization here, which is a paradox because we think it depersonalizes. So I've hit the audio button, so you should, on the next click, hear this video playing locally for you.
All right, don't be surprised if your friends are talking about websites that use artificial intelligence to generate images.
Simply type in a text prompt and it'll create images for you in around a minute.
Campaign.
Results pretty well prove that AI image sourcing associates the word ketchup with Heinz.
It plays an iconic role in pop culture today as well.
So I'm trying to share with you some examples of this personalization that we can learn from what other sectors are doing. Another shorter one coming up now in the airline industry. This is in Detroit Airport. Let's have a quick look.
Welcome to the future here at the Detroit Airport. You scan your boarding pass, look up at a giant screen, and you see only your flight information, even how many minutes it'll take you to walk to your gate. But only you can see it. It doesn't matter if you're standing right next to one other person or 100. Each person only sees their own information. Minds blown.
It's otherworldly.
And I can't see a thing.
That is insane.
Can you read that for mommy at the top? What does it say?
Hello, George.
What?
Really? No way, that's so cool. I can't see anything. Like, I literally don't, how is that possible?
It's possible.
Don't worry about how it's possible. Yeah, that's not important for you. It's really understanding the impact it's having on the customers. So really just kind of last few minutes of my talk, making sure that you are realizing that this is an existential challenge, okay? And the front runners in this space are really going to steal a march. So I've got for you here, and I'm not going to spend too long on it. You're welcome to get a copy of the slides, a PDF of my slides through the Uberall team, and you can go away and gamify this with your teams. But what you do, you give yourself a score. You've got up to 5 points per box, so you can score a maximum of 50 points. Many people are scoring 20 or less and are quite traditional. Probably most are transitioning and some in that transformational category. But let me pick out a couple of them. Number one, do you have the right mindset for change? It's not about age. It's not about where you are or whether you're kind of an innovator. You need that mindset as a marketer for change. Two, getting the buy-in from the management team is crucial. But 3 and 4 are probably the most important. Having a business case. Yeah, thinking about problems that the AI, the agentic AI might be solving and going and doing some proofs of concept. But we're having to deal with risks and governance. We're having to upskill our organization. So there's multiple different factors that we need to consider then. And certainly, talk to your Uberall team and have a look at the LPO blueprint that they've got as well, which, really aligns with some of these points that I'm actually making. We can't wait. We need to act now. So I've shared with you here some tools, like a 6-month action plan, having a watching brief on the competition, going away and doing your due diligence and getting involved in some of these tools as well. So, for all of us, it really is a question of getting together, making sure we've got what I call our ducks in a row, that we understand the implications, and that we perhaps work with other job functions within our organization. So I've been working with lawyers, with marketeers, with the digital team, with the sales teams, with the CX teams as well, and making sure that we all come together and we understand that kind of customer centricity and we understand what success looks like. And so maybe scoping out and thinking about having like a playbook or a code of conduct, and making sure that we are really ensuring that we are being strategic with this as well. So, we're going to explore in the Q&A a range of these sorts of topics. So I'm going to keep mine quite short now. And allow the team to kind of like bring the rest of the panel on board. But I just wanted to really leave you with a couple of final thoughts, which is around the risks and the considerations. Because I'm on, in the UK, we have what's called an all-party parliamentary group. We meet regularly and we are looking at enterprise adoption of AI. Okay, and I'm on the editorial board of the ethics journal for AI. So we deal with these kinds of things all the time. And so you're having to consider data confidentiality, handling sensitive client records, certainly cross-border regulation. The regulators, the lawyers, the governments are catching up slowly with the tech that's always ahead of the pack. We've got to make sure we don't have an over-reliance on these black box models as well. We need that explainability. Reputation, that's everything, okay? These automation errors can damage client confidence. We saw that just recently with the Deloitte situation where they didn't put those checks and measures into place when they're putting out reports. And then just finally, making sure that we've got human judgment, that we don't have that over-reliance on the tech. So hopefully that's been helpful. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now and I will be joining you shortly for a panel. So thank you for listening.
All right. Thanks, Katie. Great setup. Really appreciate that. So I'll move you off stage, bring you back for the Q&A in a little bit.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. So next, I'd like to bring out our expert moderator for the panel discussion. So we have Crystal Tang, who's VP of Solutions for Uberall. So let me bring Crystal on stage. Crystal, thanks for being here. Appreciate you joining.
Of course. Thanks so much for having me.
Sure. All right. So I'm gonna turn things over to you for the panel discussion.
Awesome. Thanks so much. So that was really a great session. I hope everyone enjoyed Katie's presentation. I sure did. As Scott mentioned, my name is Crystal Tang. I oversee our solutions team at Uberall. We are a local search platform where we help multi-location businesses really manage and hone in on their local search performance online. I will say I'm joined by an incredible group of folks today that are really here to talk about AI and local search. I think anyone that's been in local for years has really embraced change. And now that AI is coming and it's new, there's all this fear. But anyone that's been in local knows that things change and we embrace it. So I think the topic is so relevant that real marketing leaders don't fear AI, they turn it into local power. So we've got a number of incredible topics and incredible panel to talk about these things and how we are embracing the changes that we're seeing every day. So I'd love to introduce them. We'll start first. We have Omar Riaz. Omar, would you love to introduce where you're from, the company that you're with, and maybe where you're located in the world? I do believe you're muted. There you go.
Yeah. Thanks, Crystal. Hi, everyone. My name is Omar. I'm based out of London. I've been with Google for almost 4 years now. And these days I'm double heading. So I'm the strategic partnerships lead for Android team, as well as the Google search team. And under Google search, I work for Google business profile and things to do verticals.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us today. Next, we have Flo. Do you want to introduce your company, your role, and where you're located?
Hi, yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. It's really nice to be here. I'm Flo Gerouani, also based in London. I'm the SEO lead at Cushman & Wakefield. For those who don't know us, we are a global commercial real estate services firm operating across more than 35 markets. And my role is to lead our SEO strategy and make sure our digital presence connects people with the right place locally. So that's me.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us. And we've got Claudia as well.
Hi, thanks, Crystal. My name is Claudia, founder of Reputation Arm. We're based out of Michigan in the United States, and we specialize in reputation management and citation management. And we're really good at helping multi-location brands take control of their online directories at a full scale, optimize them, and help generate reviews across the web.
And then, of course, we've got Katie. Don't know that you kind of need to introduce your company, but we'd love to invite you back for the Q&A session as well. Awesome.
Yeah, I'm back.
All right.
Having you back.
Thanks, and that really was great. I have to say, I am also located in Pittsburgh, so I would like to believe that Heinz video was a nod to me. I really appreciated it.
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right, so I wanted to start with just kind of a broad question. In one word, if we could kind of go around the group of panelists we have today and just say, how are you feeling about AI? Maybe Claudia, if we can start with you, whether it's in your role in your company or even just personally, like how are you feeling about AI and approaching AI?
Well, in one word, I would have to say process. So I always think of processes, like how can we implement a good process? And Katie did a great job, like touching on that and measuring it out month over month and focusing on different things. So the key is really to set up a process.
I love that. I love that. Omar, what about you? I imagine Google has quite an interesting approach to AI.
If I have to pick one word, I would say empowered.
I love that.
I think it's really empowering. I think in the work and in all ways of life, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Flo, what about you?
Can I use 2 words just because?
Absolutely.
A good one, but I've got to be honest, I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed about it because there's just so much to go through and to learn about. But at the same time, I'm feeling really excited about the opportunities. So a little overwhelmed and excited.
Yeah, I think that's completely valid. And Katie, what would you say?
I say strategic because, and I'd say that's been the situation for me all the way through. And finally, I feel like I've got time back and I'm helping organizations get time back to be more strategic. We've got these tools, we can shift from being, really reactive to actually orchestrating and being proactive. So strategic, I'd say.
Yeah, I'd have to say for me, I'd say inspired. In every sense of the word, I use it in my personal life. I use it at work as much as I can. If anyone has the opportunity to ask, whatever AI they're using, like, what do you think about me? Like, give me a description of myself. It's quite funny if you use it as often as I do. I like doing that every once in a while. All right. So I will say AI definitely means something different to all of us. There's excitement, anxiety, there's opportunity. But regardless of the feeling, I think it's really reshaping how people discover, evaluate, and choose local businesses. And I really think that's what we're talking about today. So let's start a little bit with the consumer side, because whether we like it or not, AI is rewriting how people search and how brands get found. So, what were some of the initial changes you noticed as AI began impacting local searches? I would say maybe Flo, we can start with you. From your perspective, what did you see in terms of some of those initial changes? Whether your locations were showing up, or maybe some of the way, users were finding you, or what you were noticing kind of online as AI was getting introduced into search.
Yeah, thanks. So I think what I noticed to start with is that AI started making local discovery a bit more intuitive, personalized, and more context aware. And the early shifts that I noticed for me was around personalization. So all these personalized results that we would notice. Search engines now better understand user intent and context, like location, search history, behavior, to deliver these hyper-relevant local results. But the one that was probably the biggest change for me was more around the conversational search, something that we didn't really anticipate before, especially for us coming from the B2B environment. So with voice assistants and generative AI, there are questions from users that sound more natural, like, what's the best pizza place open now near me? Or in the context of our real estate industry, I'm looking for an office space to rent in Chicago. And then now search engines, they respond with more precise interpretations of local intent. So that was probably for me the early change that I've noticed.
Yeah. And I would say, Claudia, kind of from your perspective, was there anything different or anything really unique that even in the early days, I think I mentioned this in the last week, I threw out the term SGE, which even now seems so kind of antiquated because we've had so many variations of this, but kind of the very initial phases of AI and local results that stood out to you?
For me, it was the whole way that it was fanning out into different segments. So we did like an initial search, and then they were saying, oh, well, you might also want to see these Italian options or these options. So depending on the cuisine that you were looking for, they were making other recommendations and then citing different sources. So just making sure that you're aware of what's being cited and making sure that you exist on those platforms when you need to be. So it's more of a concierge experience rather than here's your directory and here's your initial results. So it's fanned out in a huge way.
Yeah. I'd say maybe Omar, is there anything for you to add, even from just like kind of personal searches or the way that you've engaged in some of the changing and AI searches from a local perspective?
I think Flo and Claudia has covered some of the points already. I will just add quickly in terms of just for the audience to first understand the scale of search and how AI is impacting. I will just quickly answer this in two parts. So I think Google is roughly receiving 8.5 billion searches every day, which is world population is 8 billion. AI, in short, I think is giving really the superpowering this whole search modes. I think the biggest change in my view, which is relevant for consumers as well as local businesses, is mode of search. I think you may have heard already, most of you, about the Google Lens, Circle to Search. It's not only text-based searches, because I think the first thing that comes to mind is like people are going to put something in the inbox or Google search on their laptops or mobile phones. It's getting more visual as well. It's audio, it's video. The mode of search is changing as well. And it's getting, I think, in the coming days and months, I think we will clearly see that the search will become more agentic as well and hyper-personalized. This will be a huge impact on businesses and positive impacts on the local businesses and the consumer side. And I think just to give another data point there, that in this new AI world, I think the biggest change that we are seeing is that the way people are searching, they have moved from keyword searches, like which we now call caveman searching, is like a pizza near me kind of search, to like whole context, like 2 to 3 times longer search queries. You want a pizza that is near you. You want consumers want a pizza that is like vegan, pet-friendly restaurant. So they put the whole storyline there, which is like really another positive change for the businesses and local search as well, because I think it means more rich signals of context coming in. Businesses are going to receive more quality clicks. Sorry for the long answer, but I hope it covers some of the other nuances as well.
Yeah, no, I think that's perfect. It's, the searches became more personalized, the results became more personalized, and it was almost a direct result because the searches were getting longer. So I think that makes a ton of sense. And then also thinking the mode, it's not just a search term, someone that's opening their browser on desktop. They're on their cell phone, they're adding an image, they're circling, a picture they saw online, they're clicking into a video on YouTube and wanting to shop that way. There's just an endless way of modes that a consumer could be searching. So that's definitely a really good point. These are all driving the changes in AI local search that I think sometimes we're not always considering. I think that's actually a perfect segue that we talk about this transition where we say, and we were always thinking about our brands and our locations being searchable. And now at Uberall, we kind of say like, we need our brands and businesses to be the answer. It went from, hey, we want our, location to be in this list, to now you need to be delivered as the answer in this context that, whether it's an AI overview or Gemini is going to deliver because someone had this very long query string with all these specifics. So I think what that does is it delivers, obviously, a challenge to marketers. So how does that really change the rules for multi-location brands? Like now that we're optimizing for, generative engines that deliver these answers, what does that mean? Do we reprioritize what we're doing? Do we make changes? Maybe Claudia, I'll come to you first. Is in this, going from short answer responses or blue links lists of responses to now needing to be the answer in a long query string, are there really big changes that marketers need to make?
I think we need to think in terms of content, but beyond the website, right? So the website's the foundation. We want to start there, and we want to make sure that everything we want AI to know about our brand is also clearly listed on the website. But then we need to deliver that messaging across the web through other directories. So checking your TripAdvisor pages, OpenTable, and just making sure that your content is consistent across the web. And then try to follow up and make sure you get those mentions, whether it's through reviews or through influencers, and just making sure that content is reinforced through your audience.
Yeah. And I was going to say, like, Katie, from your perspective, in terms of guiding marketers of monitoring like what's happening online and these kind of large changes, are there anything that you see, that you hear, and how they get their brand recognized online and big shifts? Is there anything you've said, anything you've kind of recommended?
Yeah, definitely.
In that aspect?
Absolutely. For me, I mean, this is all about smart, isn't it? This word smart, the hyper-personalization and so on. If we want people to get smart answers, move away from a shift from simple sort of search results to actually having smart answers that are going to lead them to the call to action that we're hoping for, then we're moving from kind of like visibility about keywords to actually thinking about being consistent, being credible, having context, in that kind of ecosystem. So as was just said before, we've got to be everywhere, but we've got to have really credible content. We've got to have that through all kinds of content deliverers and influencers and all kinds of, reviews across multiple different channels. So I think it's back to kind of like the world of public relations and the world of marketing and influencer marketing. All of that's got to come together and really sort of be optimized in a really smart way. So that's why I think that collaboration with all the different kind of like people that own all of this is really important. Because we've got to say, well, who's going to appear where and how are we going to get those trust signals? So I think the kind of like content and the strategy and the relevance and the locality of that all becomes really, really important.
Yeah. And I was going to say, Flo, from your perspective, I think there are plenty of things that brands, like local brands that had strong local strategies in the past would really be setting them up for success kind of going into this AI era. Is there anything that, your team at Cushman & Wakefield has already done or already was kind of working on or planning to do that I think AI has made you want to double down on because it has reinforced that this is important, whether it's content or personalization, kind of anything you can kind of share that has reinvigorated this process or factor for your team?
Yeah, sure. At Cushman & Wakefield, we're really taking a holistic approach to AI because there's just so much going on that we had to honestly took a step back to really think about our strategy and what we're doing. But the few things that we've been doing lately is to rewrite key content to be more LLM friendly. So, to provide rich context, clearer intent, factual detail. We're doing a huge amount of work on technical SEO with structured data, removal of JavaScript so AI systems can easily read hours, services, attributes, and locations. We're also improving every single location page that we have across the site, and that's over 400, by the way, so we can ensure consistency and structure so AI assistant can extract what each location offers and when it's open. And beyond this, we are prioritizing brand mentions and external references because visibility in AI-generated answers depends not only on traditional rankings, but also on the accuracy, completeness, and authority of our information wherever it appears. So it's a list of what we've been doing so far, but there's a lot more that needs to be done.
Yeah, always. There's always so much more to be done. But I completely agree that if you had a holistic local SEO strategy, kind of transitioning to this AI world, like optimizing for LLMs or generative engine optimization, as it's, kind of termed, or, there's so many new acronyms for it. This is just pushing you farther into that direction. I will say kind of at Uberall, we have heard a lot of our customers and brands kind of struggle to wrap their arms around this. And that's really why we came up with the practice of location performance optimization, or what we call LPO. We launched our LPO certification and blueprint really to help, brands understand what this looks like in the modern era and that transition from traditional local SEO, but what that means in this new world. And that's really where we see that come to life. It's aligning your data with your content, with your reviews, and your local experiences so that AI really can understand your brand and it can build that trust. But not just AI, the search engines, but not just the search engines, the consumers that are also seeing this information, and that this information is fresh and it's accurate and it's authentic, which is a huge challenge. It's easy to say, but anyone that knows and works at a brand that has, a couple dozen or 100 or 1,000 of locations knows it's a challenge. But if you have that kind of authenticity at the core, It's part of that operational system, and you have a head start. So I think, like you said, Flo, and I think Claudia, as you mentioned as well, like just making sure that you have that at the core, and you say, hey, we need to believe in the data, we need to believe in this. You have a head start. You just need to kind of, identify what areas that you work on. But kind of moving on to that, I think adapting to the shift is actually quite a challenge for brands. And, that authenticity and trustworthiness has always been important, but now AI is going to summarize and recommend businesses and brands. So they have to appear authentic and trustworthy, both to people and to the algorithm. So how do you kind of, maybe Katie, we'll start with you. Like as a brand, how do you kind of appear authentic and trustworthy both to customers, but to the AI that's like scanning all of these websites and scanning all of these areas where they're looking, but then you also have to realize you're delivering this information to consumers as well.
Yeah, it's a challenge, isn't it? I think you've got kind of like some processes, you've got that smarter naming conventions, haven't you, for the local ranking boost? You've got your Q&A, you've got real hyper personalization of the content. And then I think it's making sure that you've got those updates, that you've got the accuracy of the platforms. So I think it is kind of like managing your time so that you've got the kind of like human oversight for the expectation there, but also the kind of algorithmic demand as well. So I think it is kind of like juggling all of that, having that clarity, having that regular fresh content, and then being able to, boost the areas that you actually can with the help of the AI.
Yeah. And I would say maybe Omar, from your perspective, I know that reviews in general, I would say year over year for the last, it seems like 5 years at Google, have grown in not just importance, but how much users are engaging with them. Like for me personally, it's really hard for me to visit a business or buy a product without naturally just looking at a review. But I'd love to understand, like, as we shift to AI, sometimes I don't see reviews as prominent within AI. So I'd love to understand, are they still as important in this new AI search? Are they, still leveraged when it comes to authenticity and reviews? And, what does that mean to businesses and brands when it comes to AI and trustworthiness and authenticity? And should brands still, obviously kind of promote that?
It's, Katie, that we are working with Crystal, we are working with overall team, I think, for the GVP, Google Business Profile Completeness from the businesses. And review is one of the most important part of creating the authenticity for the businesses. Not only the positive reviews, the sad part is like people think that positive reviews are important. Even the negative reviews when businesses are receiving, it's very important to reply to those reviews as well, to build that trust and authenticity for the consumers. And this is where I think what we call signal density. I think reviews management by businesses or marketeers give that signal density for the AI or algorithm in this area of algorithms as well. If, for example, if a person is putting a long query, which we discussed before, that I'm looking for a quiet restaurant somewhere in this central London area, and if your reviews are only talking about the noise, that your place is noisy and there are no replies to those reviews, the AI algorithms will naturally ignore that place in the search results there. And this is where I think this example can, and there are so many other examples, which shows the importance, it's really important for the marketeers or for the businesses to look into the reviews management, not only positive, but negative reviews, and responding to those reviews as well.
Yeah. No, I think that's a really good point. I've seen, and I think that's what some businesses ask. They say, okay, I get reviews, I respond to reviews. Is there anything more I can do? I think the content of your reviews and not looking enough into that is the next step. It's how are you asking for reviews? Is it just give us feedback? Are you potentially, maybe saying, I'd love to get feedback about the service, the food, the products? Are you able to ask them and guide them in that feedback to help trigger more content within the reviews, knowing how important of that signal? Of course, you don't need to say, Can you give me some positive feedback? It's really just look at your business, look at the services you offer, look at the products you offer, and just guide them to say, we want feedback about our employees. We want feedback about, maybe the environment, or, if you're a restaurant, did you like, the music that we had? Did we have live events? And that really can help trigger and inspire the words and the content that they're leaving in your reviews. So that's always a really great point, that content within there. It's not just the star rating. It's not just if they're getting reviews. It's not just how often you're getting reviews. That content within there really can help inform the AI. So that can really be a really good next step. I was going to say, Claudia, kind of from your perspective, do you have any recommendations or anything you've seen for brands to really help double down on authenticity, delivering it to AI and consumers at the same time? Or do you see a difference between them?
Yeah, honestly, just to add on to what you both said, is just controlling the narrative. So listen to the feedback, review the sentiment. It's going to change every 3 months. And so you really need to make sure that you're controlling that narrative the best way that you can. And that's by implementing change and working with upper management to really hone in on what the issues are, and then focus on implementing the change to change the narrative there.
Awesome. All right. So we talked a little bit about AI's impact on consumers and, strategy, but increasingly it's acting on our behalf, optimizing, predicting, creating. What would you all say is like the biggest opportunity for marketers to lead this change rather than to follow this change? Like maybe Katie, we'll start with you on this one.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I think we're kind of like seeing that shift to agentic, aren't we? And I think it's for the first time that real opportunity to give us that strategic opportunity to kind of like be the orchestrator, to not just be optimizing kind of like inputs, but actually going from just looking at dashboards and tactical and having this plethora of different tools and platforms to actually being able to make decisions. So I think it's an opportunity to kind of like lead, to think about the frameworks. And I think to kind of like differentiate, to kind of like be at the right-hand side of the CEO, because everyone in a business should really be focused on marketing because it's satisfying customer needs profitably. So I think the ability of the agentic to be autonomous and take some of those action for us is a great opportunity.
Yeah, great. Flo, from your perspective, do you see kind of a place where AI really can help marketers or within your organization kind of lead the charge?
Absolutely. Yeah, it is. We're not taking a backseat. We are using it to augment. So our focus is on the critical thinking, the strategy, the creativity, the decisioning. And these tools are going to help us do that and then actually do some of the acting on our behalf. The trust factor is going to have to be addressed so that we do trust these tools. But I think it's game changing, unlike many of the things that we've seen before.
Yeah, completely agree. And Flo, from your side, where are you guys seeing kind of AI as an opportunity to lead the charge?
For me and for organization, I think the biggest opportunity is to shape how AI works for a business, not just keeping up with it. I think marketers can use AI in so many different ways. You can predict what customers need before they ask. You can personalize experiences at scale. You can create better quality content faster while keeping brand voice and trust intact. And instead of just reacting to what AI spits out, you can guide it, you can set the rules, you can train it on your brand voice, and then you can turn the insights into great, meaningful action that moves the business forward.
Yeah. And Claudia, any kind of areas you've been focusing on of leading kind of your team, your organization with AI?
Yeah, so we really focus on following the customer journey, and it has to be done on a localized level. So, depending on what your competitors are doing, it could really shape how you're going to rank beyond the entire brand. So everyone needs to look at each location individually, see where their competitors are showing up, and see what citations in other directories are being listed, because there's a lot of localized content and directories that each individual location needs to be focused on. And so following that customer journey and then looking at all the different tools that these engines are using. So if they want to implement showing reservations inside, do you have a reservation system? Do you have a booking system integrated? So integrating with tools so that you can easily close and capture the lead, that's going to be really important. So we need to follow the customer journey and make sure we're being very forward thinking and making sure all the tools are integrated that we need to be integrated with.
I love that. I love that. Omar, from your perspective at Google or even on your team, are there ways that you're thinking about AI and really how you can use it, or how marketing leaders can use AI really to lead some of these changes?
I think at Google, of course, we are working and building a platform for the marketers as well, and the set of tools. I can give one example, which probably some of on this call are already aware. It's still in the Google Labs, which is Pomely, and please check that tool as well. I think that's pretty cool for creating the campaigns and assets for even if you're a small business, you can do it yourself as well. And there's so many other tools and options are coming in for the marketers to really showcase their creativity in this world of AI. I think it's a great opportunity which AI is bringing, especially for the marketing side, to really excel and showcase their creativity for in every field.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think one thing that we did at Uberall almost immediately is our entire leadership team came out and were very clear that, everyone should be using AI as much as possible in their day-to-day jobs, and they also should feel very safe and confident that we don't want AI to replace anyone. We just want us to, it to help us be smarter and stronger and move quicker. And one of the examples is I launched my team launched the Academy. And we've got a lot of international customers that speak a lot of different languages. And we actually used AI to translate a lot of the content, which would have taken us so long to actually get other people to record it in different languages. And the feedback we got was actually really good. We didn't try to hide it. We did say we used AI. And I wish I had the time to learn German, but it actually turned out really, really well. And it was just one of those things that, really leaning into it and getting that permission was really great. Awesome. So I want to just leave everyone with one last question, which is if you could give one piece of advice to a marketer that is still fearing AI, or if not fearing, just hasn't fully leaned into it, what would it be? I will, maybe Omar, I'll start with you.
I think the only piece of advice is like embrace the change, embrace the AI. I think marketers and marketing, is like they've gone so many transformations already. It's one of the other ones. I think we started from the mass broadcasting to the social media change to the mobile apps, and all these different transitions have happened in marketing so many times. I think this is one of the other major transitions. So I think the biggest skill that any marketer or anyone can have at this stage is like unlearn and learn quickly. I think it's just exciting, challenging at the same time, and a lot more opportunities.
Okay. Flo, to you.
Well, similar to what Omar said, I think you really have to embrace AI as a tool to really amplify your creativity, your decision making, not as a replacement. So something that you can use alongside, your day-to-day job. And then you can focus on how you can handle this repetitive task, you can surface insights, and that really free you to do the strategic work that machines can't replicate. So yeah, use it to amplify your work, not replace it.
I love that. Claudia, your last tip?
I would just say double down on video content and repurpose your content across the web. Build your brand, and continue just building your brand with consistency.
And Katie, your tip?
Yeah, I would say take personal responsibility for that continuous journey and that continuous learning and that continuous curiosity. Yes, of course, your organization is going to help upskill you, but you've got to take a personal responsibility for that And if I can squeeze one more bit of that in, don't have imposter syndrome. Don't think everyone else has got this cracked. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors, and not everybody does. So, kind of, don't bury your head in the sand. Make sure that you are optimizing it in all the ways that we've advised, and don't think everyone else is ahead of the game, because they're not.
Awesome. Well, with that, I do want to wrap up. I want to thank all of you here, Katie, for your initial presentation. I really gathered so much insight from that. And then Omar, Flo, Claudia, for joining us in this discussion. It's been incredibly valuable. I did just want to share, I have a QR code for anyone that is looking. We do have a offer for anyone that's watching, whether you are a current Uberall customer today or not. If you do book a demo with us, we are giving out $100 Amazon gift cards if you do a demo of the Uberall platform. So if you're a current customer and you just want to check out some new features, we're happy to walk you through those. But if you're not a current customer and you just want to check out what we're doing, what we've got going on, we're launching new features all the time, really to help local brands really optimize and hone in on their performance. So with that, I do want to thank everyone for joining us today. And Scott, I will hand it back over to you.
All right, great. And I'm just going to thank you guys all, and let you guys get on with your days. But we will leave that that QR code up there for as we wrap up here, just so everybody has a chance to get their phones out and grab that QR code. All right, and before we get to the prize drawing, we do have one quick favor to ask of you all today. So Arena's opening up a short survey. We'd really appreciate it if you could all fill out. This is for those of us on the Smart Brief team. We just want to know how we're doing and what y'all like and don't like about the sessions and the format. So the results of the survey are going to affect how we deliver these events to you in the future. So we really appreciate your feedback on that. While you're filling that out, just a couple other things to mention. Once again, this is your last chance in the docs section to grab some of those resources. So please do open up tabs with any of those that were interesting to you. Super. So we do have one last piece of business, and that is the prize giveaway. So today's winner of a $250 Amazon gift card is Jamie Harder from Ohio. So congratulations to Jamie. As always, we'll be in touch about claiming your prize after the event. Since it was such a great panel discussion, we did run out of time for Q&A, but we there were a bunch of questions that came in. We are going to pass all those along to the team for follow-up. So don't worry if your question didn't get addressed during the thing. We'll pass it along. All right, big thank you to everybody in the audience for joining us today. It was great having you all here for this Smart Brief event, and we look forward to seeing you again next time. Have a fantastic rest of your day.